wrote an article, 3 things that you know about the Ravens. 1, they may be the hottest team in football right now. 2, Baltimore much healthier than it was in Week 4 when the Browns played them. And 3, Geno Stone blossoming into an elite ball hawk. So take us through those.
Well, let's start with number 1. They're, like I said, probably the hottest team in football. You look at the 4-game winning streak they're on. They've outscored their opponents in those games 130-49, and it's not like they're playing a bunch of last place teams. Their 2 biggest wins came at home against the Lions and Seahawks, 2 teams who should definitely be playoff teams in the NFC, and the Ravens just destroyed them. And you look at it right now, Lamar Jackson is having an outstanding season, a career high in completion percentage. The run game is as dangerous as it's been even without J.K. Dobbins. Right now, Baltimore's just playing outstanding football. The only question is, in the NFL, how long can you sustain all that? We'll see what happens. So number 2, like I say, Baltimore definitely is a much healthier position than they were in Week 4. Even looking at the injury report today, if you look at the injury report for these 2 teams, the Browns, they have so many guys on it, so many guys that didn't practice. For Baltimore, only 2 guys didn't practice. Odell Beckham Jr. didn't practice. Michael Pierce, the nose tackle, had an illness. He didn't practice. Morgan Moses, full practice with a shoulder issue. Baltimore's healthy, by and large healthy, so much healthier than they were at the beginning of the season. When there were questions who's going to be able to play, they look close to full strength right now, and it makes sense why, they're starting to get hot is guys have been back. And number 3, Geno Stone, the safety, is the NFL leader in interceptions. He now has 6 on the season. He picked up Geno Smith on Sunday to push himself further in that lead. I talked about those safeties, Marcus Williams, Kyle Hamilton. They're both very good. Geno Stone's underrated. I don't think he's underrated anymore, and you really can't be when you're leading the NFL interceptions. So that safety position for Baltimore, very dangerous. Stone's a guy you got to know where he is, and you got to be careful when you're testing him.
So before I let you go, let me ask you this. Matchups that decide this game, and what is the formula for a Browns win?
I'm going to go old school with the matchups. I think it's the lines, how they play in that game, because I feel like in addition to, the mismatch the Browns had at quarterback, I just thought, both lines did not fare well in that game. Baltimore's offensive line gave Lamar Jackson all kinds of time to throw, and there was all the talk about how dominant the Browns defensive line had been again after the quarterback. They just couldn't get to Lamar Jackson consistently and create a lot of pressure. I know they got a couple sacks on him, but, just not enough able to generate consistent pressure and not being able to slow down the running game. So they got to be able to control that. On the other side of the ball, again, they're probably going to have to start, James Hudson. They're going to definitely start James Hudson. If DeJuan Jones is healthy, he's going to go. Kevin Stefanski not committing who's being the left tackle just yet because you don't know what DeJuan's status is going to be like for Sunday. They got to find a way to hold up, especially in the running game. One of the best ways to hold back a great pass rush is to run right at them. And I know Kevin Stefanski's done a good job of, trying to stick with the running game, and it's pretty much paid off. They got to keep doing it. And the formula for success, I think, is kind of what we touched on earlier. Protect the football, no turnovers. And I would imagine Kevin Stefanski and Deshaun Watson would probably go with a similar game plan like they had against the Titans and Cardinals. Start him off with some short passes, get him into a flow early, and then, get aggressive and take your shots and go after this Ravens defense, and don't be afraid of the moment. This is what you bring in Deshaun Watson for. This is what you traded 6 draft picks, 3 first rounders for, paid him $230 million. This is finally the first real time we've seen him in a game with actual consequence, where a win really puts you in the position to win the AFC North. A loss is not the end of the world because they could turn around and beat Pittsburgh next week and still be fine for a playoff spot. But if you win in Baltimore, all of a sudden the AFC North is right there for you to take. And Deshaun Watson doesn't need to be Superman, but I think he needs to play well, at least to give you a shot. If he plays elite football, they have a pretty good chance to get out of Baltimore with a win, because if Watson plays at that elite level, we remember how good of a quarterback he was in Houston.